Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Becca. I am a registered dietitian and I am super passionate about not just nutrition, but also intuitive eating and teaching people how to get back in touch with their innate cues and eat intuitively. So in today's video, I am gonna be busting the top 5 myths that I see when it comes to intuitive eating. You guys know, if you've been following me for years, that I am super passionate about intuitive eating, ditching all kinds of diets and food rules and outside mechanisms of controlling how you eat, and really just stripping it all away so that you can get in touch with your body's own innate wisdom and cues in order to eat in a way that is going to fuel you the best, but also help you to just navigate life and be able to eat in a way that truly is or allows for balance so that you are not stressed about eating. You can enjoy food and therefore enjoy life while also finding that inner balance that allows you to still feel good in your own body. So let's jump into the very first myth that I hear constantly, and that is, Becca, if I were to eat intuitively, I would just eat pizza and Oreos and Doritos and insert whatever else, unhealthy food here all day long. Okay, well, let me tell you why, one, that's not necessarily true, but also why that is just a myth. So if you were to do that, if you were to chuck all food rules, nutrition, ideals, everything out the window, and your body just wanted to eat pizza and Oreos all day long, and you went ahead and did that, that is not intuitive eating. That's just eating whatever sounds good at the moment. Now, is that a piece of intuitive eating? Yes, but it's not the whole picture. So if you were to subsist solely on pizza and Oreos and whatever else processed or not nutrient dense food that sounded good at the time, if you were simply to just eat that all day long, you would not feel good, okay? You would feel sluggish, your digestive system would probably be very off, you would have not very much energy, you wouldn't be nourished, and therefore your body would not be working optimally. So that is not intuitive eating, because intuitive eating is not just eating what sounds good and paying attention to hunger and fullness. It is also taking the feedback that you get, the internal feedback from eating certain foods. How did it make you feel? Do you feel sluggish or do you feel energized? Is your digestion off? Did that not sit right with you? Are you too full? Are you still hungry? You're constantly listening to your body and accepting that feedback and then fine-tuning how you eat from there. So it's a relationship not just with food and what you want to eat, but it's also pairing that with how it makes you feel. And this is truly how you can kind of work towards getting to that place. There's no such thing as perfect balance, but you can work towards that happy medium of eating what sounds good, eating what you're craving, but also marrying that with eating what's going to fuel and nourish your body and actually make you feel good. Myth number 2 is that intuitive eating is a weight loss diet. So no one who is, a proponent of intuitive eating is going around claiming that you're going to lose weight with intuitive eating, because that is not the principle. It's not what it's based on. It's not the purpose of intuitive eating. However, no matter what, every single time without fail that I speak about intuitive eating and try and teach on it, there is always at least one person that says, yeah, but what about how do you lose weight then? So that happens every time. So here's the thing, intuitive eating is not about weight loss. Pretty much every other diet out there, or even just food rules like portion control and not eating after certain times, it is all tied back to this greater central idea of trying to lose weight. That is the backing behind pretty much every diet out there, unless it's for medical reasons, of course. That is not the purpose. The purpose is to, like I said, be able to eat all foods, enjoy all foods, but in a manner that is still nourishing to you, making you feel good. And what happens with intuitive eating is, depending on where you're at when you start, where you're at in your dieting journey, where you're at, your physiological self, You might gain weight, you might lose weight, your weight might stay the same. Again, it's the weight loss or even just the changing of weight at all is not the goal. So your weight may fluctuate, or not fluctuate, it may change, and you may end up in a different body type, or you may have a different weight by the time you've kind of mastered this way of intuitive eating. But the end goal of what your body looks like, or the weight you see on the scale, is not actually the end goal. That's just kind of like a side effect, okay? And when you get to that point, that if you're truly eating intuitively and you're in touch with your cues and you're able to balance eating, you know, delicious foods that are satiating and yummy, but also really getting in a lot of whole, real food that's nourishing your body, when you arrive at that balance, let's say, wherever your body is, wherever it lands, that is how your body is supposed to be. Genetically, that is where you're supposed to end up. So that is when we kind of bring in the body acceptance or body neutrality piece and just kind of accept that this is actually what I'm supposed to look like. You know, it might not look like what society tells me, you know, it might not be as thin or as ripped or whatever, but that is what you are truly supposed to be. So intuitive eating, not a weight loss diet. Myth number 3 with intuitive eating is that you cannot plan meals in advance. You can't do any kind of meal planning because you're just supposed to, you know, live on a whim of whatever sounds good in that moment, and that's what you're going to eat. You have to seek it out and eat that exact food. That is absolutely not true. First off, that alone would be stressful. All of us have busy lives, whether you're a mom like me and you work, or you're in school, or you have grandchildren that you watch. No matter where you are in life, you have responsibilities, you have some kind of schedule that you're following, you have places you have to be, people you need to show up for, things to take care of. We all have, you know, demands on our time. So to instruct someone to just, oh, you know, there's no planning because at any moment's notice, whatever you're craving, that's what you should be eating because that's what your body is telling you to eat. That is not practical, right? I mean, we have to put this in a realm of practicality when we're talking about eating healthy, because that is really difficult to do. Because guess what? We have to go to the grocery store, you know, 1, maybe 2, however many times a week to stock up on what we need. And we can't be running out to eat or to the grocery store and buying every last thing we're craving. That's just silly and it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So you can absolutely prep meals in advance. It's more so about, like, okay, for example, you want to make sure that you have some kind of lunch prepped for the week because you're going to work and you need to pack it, or you're at home with your kids and you're busy and you don't have time to cook in the middle of the day. That's me. So you don't necessarily have to plan out these like perfect little like broccoli, chicken, and rice. That's more of like a weight loss thing, right? We're eating certain foods to gain a certain body composition. Now you can eat that if that's what you want, but it's more so about, okay, what sounds good to me this week? What's in season? What do I want to eat? And then coming up with something that you can eat throughout the week. Or for me, a lot of the times I like to just cook up some kind of solid protein. Maybe I make some chicken salad, or maybe I have a bunch of hard-boiled eggs, you know, cooked in and peeled in advance. Things that I can then quickly throw together, you know, okay, what sounds good today? I'm gonna have chicken salad on spinach because that sounds really good, or I'm gonna make a chicken salad sandwich today because that sounds really good. So there are ways to absolutely plan in advance and set yourself up for success, batch things so that you can save time later. And honestly, I think that is actually super key to having, you know, consuming a healthy diet, because we don't have the time and usually the resources to just run out and get whatever sounds good at that exact moment. That doesn't make any sense. But we can do some planning in advance. Again, it's not this strict meal prep, trying to eat this super healthy meal 5 times in a row because that's what someone told me is healthy. No, eat what you want. Again, consider nourishment, consider how it's gonna make you feel. And you can still plan loosely, but it doesn't have to be this regimented meal plan. Myth number 4 is that you can't eat intuitively if you have some kind of medical condition that puts constraints on your diet. So for example, if you have diabetes, you obviously need to be cognizant of the carbohydrates you are consuming, both in their amount, but also the timing of when you're consuming them. because they're going to directly impact your blood sugar. So it is still possible to eat intuitively while also needing some form of medical nutrition therapy. Now, it's obviously going to look a little bit different because, for example, again, if you have diabetes and you're craving a giant plate of pasta, probably not the best thing for you to be eating for your health. So remember, there's always this health piece. What is going to actually fuel my body? What is going to make me feel good? And in that case, eating a whole plate of pasta is really not the healthiest choice. Now, can we still have some pasta and then add some protein and some fat and create, this more well-balanced meal that is not going to be such a disruption to the blood sugar? Yes, we absolutely can. And I think in a way, bringing in this idea of intuitive eating can actually be really helpful in these situations, because if you are on some kind of medical nutrition therapy diet for whatever, disease you may have, it can feel really restrictive, and that can be really hard to stay with long term. So you may end up, going way off the rails and way off track and eating the giant plate of pasta and just saying, forget it, I'm just tired and I don't want to be counting all these carbs and I just want to eat what I eat. And it's the same kind of yo-yo we see with dieting. We are really strict, we stick to the plan, eventually our bodies rebel against us and we physically can't stick with it. And in this way, it's kind of more of just, mentally that's really tough to stick to for a really long time. Now, of course, you have to be cognizant for your health if you are choosing to take care of yourself in that way, but bringing in kind of that intuitive eating piece and learning how to balance, what sounds good and what you want with what's actually going to nourish you and fuel you for your specific set of circumstances. That is actually a really beautiful way to be able to manage, your diet from a nutrition standpoint based on whatever medical condition you have for the long term. Okay, the fifth myth, which really is probably more of a misconception that I get all the time. Again, anytime I talk about intuitive eating, there always seems to be some kind of objection or this misconception that I don't know, I don't understand someone else's struggle, so intuitive eating is not going to work for them. And, this can happen in a lot of different categories of people. That's not the right word, but I see it most often with older women who have gone through menopause. This is a consistent misconception or objection that I see. They'll say, and listen, I understand, but they will say, Becca, that sounds great. Like, I would love to be able to eat in that way, but you'll see when you get to my age, things just change. Your body just changes. That's no longer going to work. I have to continue to switch it up to, like as I get older, your body just changes and you just don't understand that yet, but you'll understand it when you get here. And listen, I understand that I don't understand, but what I always say to these women usually is, why exactly are you switching it up? Why do you feel that you need to keep changing your diet and intuitive eating isn't going to work? And it always comes down to weight loss or body composition. And again, intuitive eating is independent of those things. They are not the focus. They are just a neutral side effect of what's happening. And of course, it can be really tough to go through changes and to accept it and to love your body for what it is. I'm not discounting that is a tough, mental journey, but this is actually why I love intuitive eating so much, because as women, especially, our bodies are going to change and fluctuate a lot throughout our lifetime. And I'm not speaking to like because we're dieting or we're yo-yoing. That is actually worse for your health down the road. It can increase your risk for disease. But I'm talking more about, okay, when we have children, when we are pregnant, we gain weight, our bodies change, we grow, we shrink back, we're a little loose. We might be heavier than we were before, definitely during pregnancy, possibly after. And then, as our bodies age and our metabolism slows, things are not the same and we may gain weight more easily. And, all of these changes are happening that are normal throughout the course of our lifetime based on hormones and what's happening inside, all normal stuff. But why I love intuitive eating so much is because the focus and the end goal is not the physical appearance. It has nothing to do with appearance. It has everything to do with how we feel on the inside. So it's almost like, you know, a moving target as you get older and your metabolism does slow and your body is not the same, okay? If you're always focused on, well, I have to keep switching things up to like maintain this weight so I'm not like a few pounds higher than I was, you know, a couple years ago when things were a little bit easier, that is it's a moving target. It's a tough goal to meet without using some kind of restriction or diets or, you know, switching it up. But you can actually achieve, it's doable, it's reachable, it's achievable, to feel good in your body. And I'm not just meaning like accepting it for what it is, but physically on the inside, feeling good. Your digestion is working properly. Your hormones are balanced, you know, for whatever stage of life that you're in, whatever is normal. You are energized for the most part. You know, you physically feel good. You're nourished and you feel good. That is something that we can actually achieve. So again, the weight and the body composition and exactly how things look as far as appearance is always going to change. But if we are not focused solely on that, if we are actually focused on how we're feeling on the inside, that is something that we can maintain or at least strive for and achieve throughout our lifetime. So I want to encourage you, if you find yourself in that mindset of, well, you know, my body's just not the same, and it just, you know, intuitive eating might have worked for me for when I was younger, but it's not going to work for me at this age, I would encourage you to look at what really the base motivation behind needing to switch things up. Is it weight loss, or is it maintaining a body that maybe you used to have? That is going to be an uphill battle, and not saying that it's not achievable, but it's probably not going to happen through eating intuitively and listening to your body and having that balance of enjoyment and satisfaction, but also nourishment. Okay, you guys, so those are the 5 most common myths or misconceptions that I see consistently with intuitive eating. Intuitive eating is definitely very countercultural if you're looking at diet culture, which seems to reign supreme in the world of health and wellness. It is possible to completely extract yourself from that and filter out all of those messages. It just can take some time to actually learn and build up that muscle of separating out that is diet culture, that is dieting mentality, that is focused on weight loss or strictly on body composition. That is what we want to steer away from, and we want to come over to the land of freedom and enjoying food and not having to miss out on certain aspects of life because we are restricting in some kind of way our intake in some capacity. Dieting can have such big, huge impacts on our life, and most of the time it really affects our mental health. And when you really think about it, to pursue weight loss for the purpose of health, if it is messing you up mentally, if it is hurting your mental health, your stress levels are through the roof, you feel you can't, you know, live your life the same way, you have to avoid certain things because there's going to be temptation and there's going to be foods that are not on your prescribed meal plan or whatever it is. If it's affecting your mental health, you're no longer pursuing health, okay? You're pursuing something that is not congruent with health, usually weight loss. So keep that in mind. True health is both physical and mental. So if pursuing the physical health by means of controlling your intake, controlling your weight, or just maintaining your weight, or whatever that looks like for you, if pursuing that physical health hurts your mental health, it's no longer healthy. That is all I have for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already to see lots more on nutrition and healthy recipes and intuitive eating, which are all of my favorite things. And also make sure to follow me over on Instagram as well, just to get a little bit peek into more of the behind the scenes of my life. Also what I'm eating, life in our farmhouse, all that kind of good stuff. I'm just at Becca Bristow. You can follow me over there. But again, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.